Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. China launches International Organization for Mediation in Hong Kong. First ever batch of 17 female cadets pass out from National Defense Academy. Russia has called for the revival of Russia-India-China format. Department of Post released a policy framework for Dhruv. Zoonotic disease outbreaks reported under India's Integrated Disease Surveillance Program 2018-2023. Ministry of Education flags steady increase in private school enrollment in states and decreasing enrollments in government and aided schools. In the first news of the day, China has officially launched the International Organization for Mediation or IOMED in Hong Kong. A total of 33 countries, including China, have signed the Convention on the Establishment of the IOMED, headquartered in Hong Kong. Now, let's take a step back and understand the context. Article 33 of the United Nations Charter emphasizes the peaceful settlement of international disputes. It lists methods such as negotiation, inquiry, mediation, conciliation, arbitration, judicial settlement, and other peaceful means. To implement these methods, several international organizations have been established over time. For instance, we have the International Court of Justice and the Permanent Court of Arbitration. Now, let's talk about them briefly. The International Court of Justice, or ICJ, is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. It was established in 1945 through the adoption of the UN Charter. The ICJ is located at the Peace Palace in The Hague, Netherlands. It functions by settling legal disputes submitted by states and offering advisory opinions on legal questions referred by authorized UN organs and specialized agencies. Moving on to the Permanent Court of Arbitration. This was established way back in 1899. Its aim has been to facilitate arbitration and other forms of dispute resolution between states. Interestingly, it was the first permanent intergovernmental organization to provide such a forum. And just like the ICJ, its headquarters are also based at the Peace Palace in The Hague, Netherlands. Despite these mechanisms, until now there was no established intergovernmental organization solely dedicated to the mediation method of dispute settlement. And that's precisely where the newly formed International Organization for Mediation steps in. Moving on. The first ever batch of 17 female cadets has officially passed out from the National Defense Academy or NDA. This moment marks a significant step towards gender inclusivity in the Indian military. It also symbolizes the breaking of gender barriers and sets a powerful precedent for future generations of women who aspire to serve in India's defense services. Let's rewind a little. In 2021, the Supreme Court directed the admission of women into the NDA. Following this, the first batch was admitted in 2022. For a quick background, the NDA was established in 1954 in Khadakwasla near Pune, Maharashtra. It is the Joint Services Training Academy and undergraduate school of the Indian Armed Forces. Notably, it is also the first tri-service academy in the world. Now, to truly appreciate the journey of women in defense forces, let's take a quick look at the evolution over the years. It began in 1888 with the admission of women in the Indian Military Nursing Service. In 1950, the Army Act prohibited female recruitment, marking a major setback. But in 1992, things changed again with the induction of women in the Short Service Commission or SSC outside of medical services. In 2015, the Indian Air Force opened fighter pilot training to women. Then came a landmark moment in 2020. When the Supreme Court granted permanent commission to women in the Babita Punia case. And finally, in 2022, women were allowed entry in the Corps of Military Police through the Agniveer scheme. Moving ahead, why is women's participation in defense forces so important? Firstly, it's about gender equality. Providing non-discriminatory opportunities is in line with the right to equality under Articles 14, 15, and 16 of the Constitution. Secondly, it enhances the talent pool and recruitment strength. In today's era of cyber warfare and digitally equipped weapons, women are well equipped to handle these systems efficiently. Thirdly, in humanitarian and peacekeeping missions, women play a crucial role. They can connect with local populations, especially in regions where cultural norms may restrict interactions with male soldiers. However, the journey is not without challenges. Women in defense still face lack of socio-cultural acceptance, issues related to physical standards, discrimination, and insufficient infrastructural facilities.
Amid signs of de-escalation in India-China border tensions, Russia has called for the revival of the Russia-India-China or RIC Trilateral format. Let's take a closer look at this format. RIC is an informal trilateral strategic grouping, originally conceptualized by Russia in the late 1990s to counterbalance Western dominance. Over the years, it facilitated over 20 ministerial-level meetings, fostering cooperation in foreign policy, economics and security among the three nations. However, the format has remained dormant since the 2020 Galvan Valley clashes between India and China. The importance of the RIC format lies in the fact that the RIC countries occupy over 19% of the global landmass and contribute to over 33% of global GDP. All three countries are also members of BRICS, G20, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, among others. It supports multilateralism, opposes unilateralism, and promotes the idea of a multipolar global governance model. Moreover, it offers a non-Western voice by providing alternative perspectives on global issues and advocating for equity and reforms in global institutions. All three are nuclear powers, with Russia and China also being permanent members of the UN Security Council. In addition, the RIC can contribute to Eurasian integration and complement projects like the International North-South Transport Corridor or INSTC and the Eurasian Economic Union. For India, the RIC format presents both opportunities and challenges. As India prioritizes strategic autonomy, it must balance the opportunities offered by RIC while avoiding being locked into any single camp, whether Western or non-Western. Nevertheless, several challenges to the revival of the RIC persist. These include ongoing India-China border tensions and the trust deficit between the two countries. Additionally, India's growing ties with the West and its role in the Quad may complicate its simultaneous engagement with the RIC grouping. Furthermore, Russia's growing closeness with China, especially in the wake of the Ukraine conflict, might raise concerns in India about the impartiality of the RIC platform. In a significant move towards building next-generation digital infrastructure, the Department of Posts, or DOP, has released a comprehensive policy document outlining the framework for Dhruva, the digital hub for reference and unique virtual address. This national-level digital public infrastructure, or DPI, is designed to transform how addresses are managed and verified across the country. Dhruva is a DPI being developed by the DOP to provide a unique digital address for every home in India. At its core, it aims to create a secure digital environment that enables users to share accurate address information by leveraging a geocoded framework. The initiative recognizes address information management as a foundational public infrastructure, which is crucial for effective governance, inclusive service delivery, and an enhanced user experience. The system is built on two key layers. The first is the Digital Postal Index Number, or DigiPin, a 10-digit alphanumeric code that represents geographic coordinates, latitude and longitude. This code is developed by dividing the entire Indian territory into uniform 4x4 meter grids, ensuring that each location is uniquely identified using geospatial data. The second layer is the Digital Address Layer, a user-centric consent-based system built on DigiPin. It allows users to create customized labels that represent their DigiPin along with descriptive addresses. Dhruva's key features include privacy and security, interoperability and openness, scalability, transparency and accountability, and an innovation-friendly approach. These elements make the system robust, flexible, and ready to scale across varied use cases. The benefits of Dhruva span citizens, the private sector, and governance. For citizens, it simplifies identification for government schemes, ration delivery, and emergency services, while also improving the accuracy of e-commerce, postal, and courier services. The private sector stands to gain through logistics and delivery optimization, easier address verification for banks, NBFCs, telecoms, and fintech companies, and better and accurate service reach in remote areas. From a governance perspective, Dhruva enhances the government's ability to reach underserved areas, ensures targeted delivery of welfare schemes, and facilitates better planning and urban management. With Dhruva, India moves closer to building a digitally inclusive and address-verified ecosystem, reinforcing the foundations of a smart and efficient governance model.
Moving on, we bring you an important update on zoonotic disease outbreaks reported under India's Integrated Disease Surveillance Program or IDSP between 2018 and 2023. Let's begin with the key findings. The analysis reveals that of all outbreaks reported under IDSP during this period, 8.3% were zoonotic. On average, the median number of monthly zoonotic outbreaks stood at 7. Now, when we look at which diseases were most commonly reported, Japanese encephalitis topped the chart, accounting for 29.5% of all zoonotic outbreaks. This was followed by leptospirosis and scrub typhus. Regionally speaking, the Northeast contributed to nearly one-third of these zoonotic disease outbreaks, followed closely by Southern region. So, what exactly are zoonotic diseases? According to the World Health Organization or WHO, zoonoses are defined as those diseases and infections which are naturally transmitted between vertebrate animals and people. These zoonotic pathogens can be bacterial, viral, or parasitic in nature and can spread through direct contact, food, water, or the environment. Globally, these diseases are a major concern. Millions of deaths occur each year due to zoonosis, and a staggering 60% of all reported emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic. Now, let's understand what causes these diseases to emerge in the first place. There are multiple contributing factors to disease emergence: wildlife and forest encroachment, deforestation and animal trade, urban expansion and land use change, intensive livestock farming practices and growing demand for protein-rich food, increase in travel, increase in population, poor sanitation, environmental changes that lead to an increase in vector population, air pollution, and genetic mutations in pathogens either through mutation or recombination. Now, moving to what is being done to address these issues. The Integrated Disease Surveillance Program or IDSP plays a key role. It monitors 6 zoonotic diseases of human health importance: anthrax, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic, fever, CCHF, rabies, Cassiner, forest disease or KFT, leptospirosis and scrub typhus. Building on that, the government has launched the National One Health Program for Prevention and Control of Zoonosis. This initiative aims to institutionalize the One Health approach at national, state, and district levels. It focuses on integrated surveillance and community outreach programs based on the One Health concept. In addition, there are several disease-specific programs in place. These include the National Rabies Control Program, the Program for Prevention and Control of Leptospirosis, and the National Program for Prevention and Control of Snakebite Envenoming.
Moving ahead, as private school enrollment rises, Ministry of Education flags decline in government school admissions. Based on data from UDI-SE+, there has been a 36% private school enrollment in 2023-24. The Ministry of Education has flagged the steady increase in private school enrollment in states and decreasing enrollments in government and aided schools, and has asked the states to take steps to reverse a trend of decreasing enrollment in government schools. For example, Andhra Pradesh in 2023-24 has 73% government schools which enroll 46% of students, whereas 25% private schools enroll 52% of the total students. The factors leading to the increase in private school enrollment over public schools include rising demand for quality education, as parents prefer private schools perceived to better provide quality education, infrastructure, and teaching standards. Public investment in education was 4.6% of the GDP in 2021, which reduced to 4.1% in 2022, according to World Bank. This is lower than 6% of the GDP as envisaged in the NEP 2020. Administrative inefficiencies and corruption in public institutions impact learning outcomes. For example, teacher absenteeism, ineffective implementation of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, midday meal, etc. Other factors include increasing per capita income, augmented accessibility of private schools, etc. The positive implications include increased accessibility of schools, with availability of educational choice due to growth of private institutions. For example, under Right to Education Act 2009, private schools are mandated to offer 25% seats to students from low-income families. It also leads to increasing educational choice in type, style, and quality of education, and wider availability of funding of education system by non-state education providers through innovative financing mechanisms. On the other hand, the negative implications involve commercialization of education, which defeats the principle of quality of educational opportunities and right to education under Article 21A, and perpetuates economic and socio-cultural inequality. For example, widening urban-rural caste and class disparities. It also leads to disengaging public education, as increasing presence of private schools undermines state's obligation, leading to its disengagement in public education and further deterioration of quality. Finally, it may result in a decreasing level of education by having different standards of quality of education and teaching. In today's place in news, we turn our focus to Nigeria with its capital, Abuja. Recently, Nigeria has been severely impacted by climate change, with floods claiming at least 111 lives. Now, let's turn to some key facts about the country. Nigeria is located in West Africa, bordered by Niger in north, Chad and Cameroon in east, Benin in west, and the Gulf of Guinea to the south. As Africa's most populous country, it operates under a bicameral legislature and is a federal republic. Geographically, it features a predominantly tropical climate varying by region. The country is influenced by the Harmattan, a dry wind from the northeast lasting over 3 months in the north. Major rivers include the Niger, Benue, and Cross, while Lake Chad, a freshwater lake, lies at the crossroads of Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, and Niger. The country's major mountains include Chapel Wadi and Mount Dimlang.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. The National Statistics Office releases the provisional estimates of annual gross domestic product or GDP for the financial year 2024-25. According to the data, real GDP at constant prices has been estimated to grow by 6.5% in FY 2024-25, while nominal GDP at current prices has witnessed a growth rate of 9.8%. India's fiscal deficit stood at 4.8% of GDP for FY 2024-25, according to data released by the Controller General of Accounts or CGA, meeting the revised estimate set by the Union Budget FY 2025-26. Fiscal deficit is the difference between the government's total expenditure and its total receipts, excluding borrowing. Telangana government declared the Tiger Corridor area connecting the Kaval Tiger Reserve in Telangana with the Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve in Maharashtra as Kumram Bhim Conservation Reserve. Kaval Tiger Reserve is located in Sahyadri mountain ranges along the banks of river Godavari in Telangana. On its statehood day, Goa becomes the second state after Mizoram to achieve full functional literacy under the Ullas, Nav Bharat Saksharta Karyakram, New India Literacy Program. Ullas is a centrally sponsored initiative which focuses on imparting functional literacy and enrich learners with critical life skills. President of India presented the National Florence Nightingale Awards for 2025 to 15 nurses for their exemplary service in strengthening public health delivery. National Florence Nightingale Awards was instituted by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in 1973. According to AIMS, nearly 41% of urban adolescents in government schools across North India suffer from folate or vitamin B9 deficiency. Folate is the natural form of vitamin B9, water-soluble and naturally found in many foods. Birch Glacier in Switzerland catastrophically failed, generating a massive landslide that has partially buried Blatten village. The collapse of the Birch Glacier has also impacted the Lonza River. Birch Glacier is located in the Lotschental Valley in northern Switzerland. The fiber optics first-person view or FPV drones are being used in the Russia-Ukraine war. Fiber optics first-person view or FPV drones are wired kamikaze drones which use fiber optics instead of radio waves for navigation. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.